Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Edge Sports Network today. Today we're joined by Rashad Byrd for another interview. Plays at Georgia Southern. Rashad, thanks so much for joining us today. We're really glad to have you on the site.
Thank you so much. I'm happy that y'all are interviewing me today.
We are glad to hear what you have to say. You played at North Augusta High School. You were ranked as the 119th outside linebacker in the country and the 31st best player in South Carolina by 24/7 Sports. You also won the Deion Grant Player of the Year award your senior year. So when you're coming off a accomplished high school career, how does that help with your, confidence heading into college? And how does it already feel to have some accolades under your belt?
Um, accolades are nothing but just accolades, really.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in high school, once it's done, it's over with. But it's definitely glad to have them. Going into college with it kind of gave me a chip on my shoulder, knowing that I could play on the next level and definitely playing at a D1 school. Definitely interesting with just going there and honestly playing a different position than I did in high school, where I played middle linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually started as an outside linebacker here at Georgia Southern, and then eventually moved my way inside. But
Mm-hmm.
it was great, honestly. Gave me a little bit of chip since at first I didn't succeed as well as I thought I would at outside linebacker, but I felt completely normal once they put me back inside.
Yeah, I mean, you looked really comfortable in your college career. I know we got plenty to talk about with your college career a little bit later, but I know, going into the college decision process, it's very tough for a lot of guys, very hard to kind of decide where they want to play. So what kind of made you settle on Georgia Southern as a school where you wanted to continue your career?
Georgia Southern, we really they bank on brotherhood, and it's really hard knowing what it really is until you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear from the outside, you hear from a lot of schools, but it's a true brotherhood here at Georgia Southern, and it's just like a family, and that's how it is in my town, in my high school. We're a close-knit group. People we, go out and go to war with each and every day and hang out in and out of school. So when I got to Georgia Southern and then I heard they're the same way, it was just my first love, and they believed in me and actually gave me my first really big offer. So,
Mm-hmm.
I went to someone who really wanted me the most. So.
Yeah, I mean, you guys certainly play like you kind of have that family bond on the field, which is really great to see. Really good team chemistry. And I know growing up for you, a big story, a big life moment. Your mom was diagnosed with breast cancer when you were in middle school, and I know she's played a huge role in your life, on the field, off the field. She's been one of your biggest supporters. She's been an inspiration, and you've really been proactive in raising awareness for breast cancer, which I think has been great. So, I mean, when stuff in your life comes up like that, I mean, how'd you kind of lean on football to help you through things? I know we're going to talk a little bit later about your awareness for breast cancer, the community service that you've done, but how'd you kind of use football to get through moments of adversity such as that?
So really, football was one of my escapes. But
Mm-hmm.
as I got older and as I got into college, I noticed, football is just a platform for me, and just a platform for me to, share the gospel and share the good news of Christ. So,
Mm-hmm.
any adversity now is really, and with football, it's a great way to show that, yeah, all this is going on, but there's something much bigger than me
Mm-hmm.
that there is to work towards.
Yeah, I know you really became intact with your faith and also community service. I mean, you were recognized by the Cure Bowl for that community service. So for the people that don't know, I mean, what kind of service projects did you kind of get involved with, and what community service did you really work on? And I also know you've raised a ton of awareness for breast cancer as well.
Yeah, so I used to mentor at the Transitional Learning Center, which is a alternative school in Statesboro.
Mm-hmm.
I help them manage their stress because a lot of those kids come from bad environments, and just to have someone, a figure like me or pretty much any college athlete, and tell them that you believe in them and they can do so much more,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll go a long way. It'll go farther than you can ever think. So doing that, been to an 8 Mile ranch, helping people dig holes for their ranch, helping
Mm-hmm.
out with that, and really we do a lot of stuff with mental health awareness right now. We had a teammate pass away from committing suicide this
Mm-hmm.
past year, so mental health has been a really big thing that we've been working on lately. Really just get the facts out there and really let people know, especially student athletes and especially male athletes, that it's okay to not be okay. So
Mm-hmm.
that's currently like a big project I'm working on right now.
Yeah, I mean, you've honestly done so much great things in the community, and I think that's a big thing. I think that more people should realize that, we have these athletes, whether those be college athletes, professional athletes, we see them on the field, day in, day out, but I think a lot of people, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people recognize the off-field stuff that they do, the community stuff, but I think it should have more of an emphasis because you got so many guys like yourself doing so much for the community. So I know when we do interviews here, we always like to dive into that stuff because, I mean, it's got to be known what guys are doing. And I think it also helps raise awareness as well for more people to get out there, help with the community and stuff. So what you've been doing has been fantastic. I know we might dive a little bit into that later, but just an overall great job doing things off the field. And you're very well balanced with everything. I mean, between community service, football, also your academics. I know you're named to the Sun Belt Conference Academic Honor Roll. You made the Dean's List in spring your following year. You were named to the Academic Honor Roll back in 2016-2017 season. And then you made the honor roll in the spring after that, 2 years following after that 2016-2017 year. So, I mean, a lot of guys, pretty overwhelming being in the NCAA, having to manage with sports. But how'd you kind of keep good academic standing? And, I mean, how important do you think it is to balance everything together and really make sure that the academic standing is still high, even if you're playing college football or any college sport?
Of course, my family's always been, grades always come first for anything else. You can't succeed on the field if you don't have good enough grades to get on the field. So that's pretty much one thing my parents always made sure they did. They no matter if it was elementary school, middle school, high school, they just instilled in me, grades come first no matter what. And so, just keeping that up and just being in a really good family community in my hometown of going to give sandwiches to the homeless and just volunteering at the University Hospital in Augusta. It was just a great way that, my parents kept me busy, and that's how I like to keep it. I don't like sitting around doing anything when I know I can help impact other people's lives. It's not always about me. It's about, how can you impact others if you're really, truly looking to make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly using your platform to make a difference, which is absolutely great. And I mean, on the field, I know we haven't really talked about on the field yet because you have so much going on off the field that you're doing, but on the field, you were pretty dang good too. I mean, coming off that season where you redshirted, you played in all 12 games. You had some snaps on defense. Most of them were on defense. You also had some on special teams, 44 tackles on the year. So when you're playing on defense and special teams, how does special teams help out with defense? How does defense help out with special teams? I'd imagine they kind of translate into one another. So what kind of ways did you, bounce your skills between both of those aspects of the game?
Oh, no doubt. Especially special teams is a great way for you to just get the natural speed of the game. Especially again, because I was coming off a redshirt season, haven't played football in the whole year. So coming out, just getting used to the speed of the game because it's a lot different from practice when you're in game. And once you get that speed down, everything else becomes a lot easier for the defensive side. Besides knowing the playbook, the speed, it is what it is in college, but it does come with more. And I noticed that from with me playing defense and having to learn schemes and having to learn how this person does this and knowing mannerisms, it also helps on special teams when you notice, okay, they're lining up in this, so I know this person's going to go here, and it makes your job a lot easier.
Yeah, so I know you really focus in on those two facets of the game, really helped with your development, and you carried it right over to the next season. You played in 10 games, started in 3 this year, 54 tackles, and you were also an honorable mention for the All-Sun Belt selection, and you made several big plays throughout the year. So, I mean, having those big plays, I mean, not every guy kind of has that trait to go out there and make a play when it's needed. What do you kind of credit that to? I mean, is it a little bit of being in the right place at the right time, studying film before games, coaching, you reading the offense out there? I mean, what kind of goes into having that clutch gene of, all right, I got to make a play, and then you go out and execute?
I really just feel like it's a lot of preparation because once you prepare your body enough, in practice, watching film, once you prepare enough, you got to just let yourself go being natural and trust your instincts because if you're thinking too much about what if this happens, what if that happens, you can't focus on making the play. But once you go ahead and have yourself prepared for what you have going on, you just got to let yourself be a ball player. And, I've relied on my athleticism a lot of times to make a lot of plays. And once you go ahead and get your mindset on, okay, I have to make the play, or, okay, no matter what, I'm not going to be stopped. It's all about a mental game once you get, into college.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a big thing for me, just being well-rounded with, putting that work in ahead of time, making sure practice is harder than the game, so that way when games come around, I can just go and have fun.
Those big plays certainly paid off. I mean, you guys had a really good year. Got to play in the Camellia Bowl at the end of the season. You had 7 tackles in that win against Eastern Michigan. Guys won 23-21 in front of 18,000 people. I mean, what does it feel like to play in a bowl game? What's that atmosphere like? Especially, I mean, it wasn't a blowout either. You guys were neck and neck. So what is that like playing in a bowl game, especially when the game's that close and you guys are really fighting to win?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Especially that being my first bowl game and my first season where I'm actually playing a good bit. During that season, I was hurt, so I didn't get to finish off the season the way I wanted to, really. But, I ended up being really well and having that atmosphere and being able to win with my guys after coming off a 2-10 year to 10-3 is honestly the most incredible thing I think I will probably ever experience in my life. So, that's just, it gives me chills to think about that game.
Oh man, I mean, I can only imagine just the atmosphere in that must have been great. And you guys got the win too, so I'm sure that always makes it a little bit better. But and I know, those first 2 years after you redshirted, you really kind of just increased or developed each year, got increasingly better. And then this past season, you're named to the All Sun Belt Conference first team by Phil Steele. You started in all 13 games. You had 85 tackles, couple sacks. You had the second most tackles on the team. Had a couple interceptions, couple forced fumbles. I mean, you were doing it all. You scored a defensive touchdown. You're really just doing it all. It kind of just showed, all right, first 2 years, getting ready, come out this past season, and you had your best year to date. So, I mean, throughout your career, you're working on the development each year. And this past season, it all seems to kind of come together. So, I mean, how does it feel to see that hard work pay off and to just kind of have things click?
It makes me happy. I know I still have a long way to go. I'm never complacent, which is a really good trait that I like of mine. I hate, knowing that someone is better than me. So, really just improving every year is the main thing I focus on. I go to my coach probably every day, be like, hey, coach, what can I work on this week? What am I doing wrong? Just to try to make myself a better player because, I'm a competitor. I love to compete, love to win and hate to lose. So it's just, progressing every year is one thing I really take pride in because once you get complacent and your numbers are the same, you're not making any growth, you start progressing as a player. So I always want to be someone who, some way, somehow is always progressing and going up rather than trending flat or trending down.
I think that's a great mentality to have. And I mean, coming out of the gate this year, immediately, you showed that, all right, this might be the year. You guys played LSU in the opener, which is, no easy team to start a season with. I'll tell you that. They, of course, go on to win the championship, but you went off in this game. You had 16 tackles, 7 of which were solo. You had a pass defense in that one, too. It was one of 3 games this year which you had 10-plus tackles. So when you start a season off like that, I can only imagine it feels really good. But for it to be LSU as well, I mean, how did that feel? You're playing one of the best teams in the country at the time. They ended up being the best team in the country this year. How's it feel to just kind of start the season, 16 tackles, and just see, all right, look, this might be the year?
It felt really good. Coming out that game, I'm the type of person, I don't care who I'm playing. If I'm playing somebody who's 7 foot, I don't really care, 6 foot, 4 foot. I'm going to give you my best, and I'm not going to let up on no matter who it is. I don't care how good that they're supposed to be, and they ended up being really good. But for me personally, I'm not going to go down without a fight. So starting off that year definitely just shot me up. And saying like, okay, I knew I belonged in my head, but actually seeing the results pay off. Especially, from the Clemson game last year. I didn't get to play the first half, but I was doing really well. And I did really well second half. And then Minnesota as well, they ended up being pretty good. So just knowing that when we're playing big teams, I don't, take it any lightly. It's more of a challenge to me. Not that I, you know, take it easy on the Sun Belt teams, but when it comes to games like that, especially out of conference, it's definitely time to show my skills.
Oh yeah, you definitely show them well. I think that goes back to that, kind of gene that you have where you can make the big plays. And I know you mentioned you don't really care if they're 7 feet, 6 feet, 4 feet. If they're 4 feet, Rashad, there's gonna need to be an ambulance somewhere on the field. I don't think the 4 foot guy is gonna stand any chance against you. So let's hope you never have to, or let's hope he never has to experience that. But that would be pretty interesting. I know you're just coming off a great year here. I mean, a lot to look forward to. I'm sure when you have a year like this past season, it's really just kind of a bright spot in your career, in your future. So, I mean, what do you hope the next year brings, not only football-wise, but like community service-wise, just kind of life in general, also football-wise, but coming off a really good year. I know things are a little bit hectic right now with everything we got going on in the world, but what are you kind of looking forward to in the next year here?
Honestly, right now, I'm looking forward to getting the people under me better.
There you go.
I leave after this December. So
Mm-hmm.
really, I'm thinking about the future and what legacy I can leave at Georgia Southern because I only have, as of now, I have 7 more months left here.
Mm-hmm.
So just getting these guys up and ready to go. So they know how we leave, and I want to leave the place better, than when I came. So that's my biggest thing. I know I'm gonna get my growth. I know I'm gonna do as much as I can, but really I want to work on developing other leaders on the team and other players. So Georgia Southern can grow to what our potential will be, and then we can just keep this cycle moving.
Yeah, I mean, as one of the upperclassmen on the team, think it's always great to kind of take those guys under your wing. Definitely helps with team chemistry as well. And we always like to end the interview on kind of a, tough question, easy question. I mean, you can kind of decide if this is tough or easy here. Very straightforward, but sometimes you got to think about it a little bit. So looking ahead here, let's look like 5 years down the road. Where do you want to be? What would be the ideal situation for Rashad Byrd if you could craft like just the fairy tale situation? What would that be 5 years down the road?
I will be working at Stryker Corporation in Austin, Texas as a medical sales representative, and I will have a house in the suburbs of Austin, and I will have a German Shepherd dog, and I'll be married with no kids.
There you go. Hey, you've thought about this before, huh? I mean, you had that right in the back pocket. You had that right in the back pocket.
Yeah, I gotta have it just in case.
See, we were hoping that'd be a little harder, but then you came out with like the scripted answer, boom, boom, boom. But we got to come up with better questions here, man. My God, you had that one ready. But Rashad Byrd, thank you so much for joining us. We really loved having you on the site. It was great to have you. Hope everything's going well, and we hope we can have you on sometime again in the future.
Of course, I really appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
No problem at all. Great to have you on, as we said. Guys, if you want to follow Rashad, we'll put his Twitter down below. You can follow his career, his remaining time at Georgia Southern, when he's out in Texas with his German Shepherd and no kids. We'll have that right down below. We'll also put the Georgia Southern football website link down below so you guys can follow news and updates regarding the team. And guys, thanks so much for joining us here on Ed Sports Network for another interview today. We hope you guys are staying safe and healthy, and we'll catch you again for another interview.